Adelante, Leo.
Hola, muy buenas tardes a todos.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Good evening. Hi again. I'm really sorry I can't see you personally. It's a real pity that we can't meet this year. But we're going to start posing the questions that you have submitted our speakers, and we're going to start with Ivan, talking about the cooling and ventilation of Arima Hotel. First question, how do you do the ventilation of the climate-controlled pool? No? Well, Leo, that's a wonderful question. I'm really sorry that I can't answer you because we weren't involved in that process. Next question then. Why does the heat recovery system is not large? So what was the question? They've decided to use smaller equipment. No, a series of smaller equipments. Yes. Look, Leo, there are many reasons for this decision. But particularly, as we don't have much time left to say this, one of the main reasons for this and why they haven't used a large equipment and they've used more smaller ones is to control a little bit the flows. As we're talking about smaller flows, then you require a smaller installation. I'm talking about the piping, accessories, and everything else, and therefore it's easier to control. 500 cubic meters hour with a series of equipments, then 2,000, 3,000. I'm referring to control when you are developing the infrastructure, but we also have to think about maintenance. If you have large equipment, they need industrial type maintenance, but with smaller equipment like these, which are more of a residential nature, the only maintenance they do is to change filters once a year, and that's about it. Okay, fine, thank you.
Para CUM, los premarcos de fibra se utilizarían de la misma manera hacia
the fiber frames would be used in the same way on the interior of the envelope. Is that correct? Yes, they would be valid for the interior. In fact, we've also carried out some projects in France and Spain, for example. We carried out a project in which we use this internally, and it works very well. In this case, it was a protected facade on the outside. So very often what occurs is when you carry out, for example, a renovation project and it's done well, it's not just a question of improving carpentry, but also the installation and also increasing insulation. So in this case, we decided to invert the system inwards. On the interior, there was a rock wool layer, then a plasterboard layer, and in this way, we were able to position the windows in the traditional place, as you find here in buildings in Spain. Thank you very much, Kun. I'm going to now pass on to Marco. Marco, your carpentry can also be installed on exteriors as well without a pre-frame. Would it be consistent? Yes, of course. Well, good afternoon to everyone. Well, this type of window is just like any window. It's got a frame and it can be installed, for example, in the middle or on towards the interior or externally. There's the three options that are open. So depending very much on the construction details of the wall structure, the architect can decide where it's best to install the windows. You know, so it's important, for example, particularly in the case of inward or interior installations, that the aesthetic appearance of the installation of these windows is outstanding and also very innovative in terms of design. So we can, ensure that the frames are perfectly adequate for these reasons, and it's worth taking advantage of this. But you would have to use a pre-frame, for example. No, not necessary. With brackets, it can also be secured adequately. Yes, it can be secured adequately with some brackets. Thank you very much, Marco. Okay, a question for Vega. What specifics do ventilation systems have with heat exchangers in kitchens and also for maintenance purposes?
When we include the heat recovery system, of course, you require more cleaning. And to tell you the truth, this is my first experience with an industrial kitchen. So In this case, like I have explained, we did not include the heat recovery system in our kitchen due to the weather, because it was like a mild weather climate, warm. But I think that when we talk about maintenance, yes, it is a bit more expensive because there will be more cleaning and far greater review and maintenance of filters. But to tell you the truth, I don't have experience in this. I do hope that I'll have the opportunity of building another industrial kitchen where I will be able to prove this. And did you ever think of having the kitchen outside the envelope? Because the cooks always, or chefs always want gas instead of induction. Yes, yes, indeed, because at the beginning we thought it was an apparently easier solution. We'll leave it outside and forget about that package. But as we have cooperated with the certifiers, we decided to leave it indoors because it's natural. It's an additional element to the beginning and it produces internal gains. And in fact, it is part and parcel of the building operation. So that's why we didn't think it was a good idea to leave the kitchen outside. And we did think that the gas issue was going to be something that we were going to bicker over with the kitchen staff, but it was the opposite. They had no problems whatsoever switching over to induction. Very interesting, extremely interesting. For Jessica. Jessica, do you know whether you can reduce the ventilation flow in swimming pools if you use salt instead of chlorine? Are there any studies about this?
I don't know about any studies on the topic. Obviously, the type of disinfectant that you use for the pool water has an effect on the water quality and also on the air quality. But generally, the amount of fresh air that you need is driven largely by the amount of evaporation that you have in the pool hall. So I didn't expect the difference to be that large.
Entiendo que el estudio de piscinas es para...
I understand that the pool study that you've carried out is for colder climates, because in warmer and drier climates, you will have more problems of humidification and heating problems within this pool space, within the envelope, so to speak, wouldn't it?
Yes, exactly. So the studies that we have done so far and the pilot projects in Germany and in England, they're both in cooler climates and drier climates. And the strategy is slightly different if you have a warmer and a humid climate. In that case, we wouldn't rely only on drying via the exterior air, but you need additional dehumidification. So the strategy is slightly different. We have some experience from the project we consulted in China, but we don't have nearly as much experience or guidance yet for the warm and humid climates as they would be relevant in Spain. But I'm more than happy to collaborate and work on a project and find out about more on the subject.
Vale.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you very much. We don't have very much more time. I would like to thank you all for your presentations. They were very interesting. And I'd like to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that we expect to see you again tomorrow at 4 o'clock to conclude our session. Thank you very much for attending the meeting and enjoy your evening. Greetings to you all. Goodbye.